I trust that you can all hear me.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Let me share my slides. Can you see my last slide? Okay, great. Thank you. I have entitled my sharing this morning as 20-21 Challenges and Opportunities. Why 20-21? Meaning the year 2020 and 2021. Okay, I will explain later why I say that. But before I proceed further, let me just go through the objective of this morning's sharing. Actually, Pastor Malcolm has asked all the elders to share this same thing, that is to share your own reflections on what the Lord has been showing and leading FBC as we enter 2021, and how have we been doing in terms of our FBC ethos. So that is our objective. You have heard from Brother Tiong, you have heard from Brother Song, Brother Malcolm, Brother Hall, and so here I am sharing with you the whatever else hasn't been shared, whatever else still left, if any. Yeah. Okay. So come back to this again. 2021. I think we have heard a lot about the pandemic, so I'm not going to go into that. A lot has happened and a lot of negative impacts we have heard about, including the economy, the politics, even our lifestyle and whatnot. Yeah. But I would like to point out probably a window of opportunity. What I sense as a window of opportunity that we could seize, and what are the challenges that are also presented to us in front of us as we look at this. I think the announcement slide just now was very interesting about the refuge. Sorry, dancing in the storm. I think that's quite a title. How can you dance in a storm? Usually you are threatened in a storm, right? So to dance in a storm means you are not only not afraid, not worried, but rather you are calm and you can even sense the joy to be able to dance. I think that's quite a title. And that means you can, and that's the type of things that you can do only in the Lord, right? Because God gives us that peace that surpasses all understanding. So this is what I want to talk about here. And the opportunity, or the window of opportunity that I talk about, I also sense that it is passing, and it's a short time between the year 2020 and the year 2021. Why do I say that? For those of you who work from home, you probably know what I mean. Some of you might have experienced what I experienced. Before the pandemic, we were very busy, and when the pandemic first came early in March and onwards, all of us, I think, almost all of us in the world, the entire world, not just in Kuching or Malaysia, have this quote unquote slow down, right? We all suddenly feel that, wow, there's so much time, there's nothing to do, and people start to do farming, start to play with their pets. Now, that time, my sensing is that time is passing, and we are already in the new normal. For some of us, we probably sense that already. I definitely sense that the new normal is already here. Now I'm still working from home, alternate weeks, but the life is so much more fast-paced now compared to the time before the pandemic, because Zoom has taken over. People are so what is the word? So used to Zoom now. So it doesn't matter whether you are working from home or working at the office. In fact, it doesn't even matter whether it is weekday or weekend. So long you are available, Zoom. Okay, so long you are available, Meet. So our meeting now is not only confined to working hours, but even outside of working hours. And life becomes so much fast-paced. That's how I sense it. Yeah. So there's certain opportunities I want to point out here as I go through the slides, that we can seize, I think, and we should try to seize these opportunities as within this window of time before it passes. Once it passes, it may be too late. Yeah. I'd like to point out the verse here from John chapter 4 that Jesus said. He said, don't you have a saying, it is still 4 months until harvest? I tell you, open your eyes and look at the views. You know what he said next. I only have 3 key slides, so I should be very fast. I hope. I think the word is in the word key here, the emphasis. 3 key slides, the rest are not so key. I like to point out, I like to use this framework of aggressive to go through the challenges and opportunities I want to raise up. The word aggressive here is also to frame our stand. That is how we should position ourselves and the kind of mindset that we should have as we face the challenges ahead. Yeah. The aggressive here stands for resilience, being resilient, being agile, that is being flexible, and lastly, being farsighted. Yeah. Let me go through this one by one. Firstly, being resilient. Being resilient means, number one, we have to have a strong foundation. I think during that slowdown period, it has given us an opportunity to review our foundation. I know of many of us in FBC and even outside of FBC who have gone back to the Bible during that period, right? I hear some who have read through the Bible several times during the first few months of the pandemic, of the slowdown. And some do this as a family, and that is wonderful. I think it's an opportunity for us to do that, to review our faith, to make sure that we stand on a strong foundation and not just on form. You know what form means? Like attending church is a form. Now you can't go to the church. So you have to ask yourself, is your faith still strong without being there? So that is a test. So there's an opportunity for us to do so, and to strengthen our faith. The future may be uncertain. We do not know what is going to come. There's a lot of talk about vaccines. We don't even know what will happen after the vaccines. So, but one thing is certain of the future. The Bible tells us that there will be false teachers, right? Paul talked about it, Peter talked about it, Jude talked about it, John talked about it, and we all know, in fact, there are already false teachers. So that is for sure. So it's important for us to have strong foundation in the Word, in the Lord, that we will not be affected, no matter how strong the storm is. Like what we saw just now, you can dance in a storm. You're not worried about being washed away. So that's strong foundation. Being resilient also means that we have to have strong relationship. In fact, strong relationship is a key to strong foundation. It has been said that church is about friends. I learned this from the Youth Alpha. The church is about friends, about family. In other words, it's about relationship, not so much about program. So it is a challenge for us during this window of time to stay together despite being separated physically. Yeah. And doing so means we have to continue to communicate so that we can have that bonding. And we thank God for things like Zoom, WhatsApp video and whatnot, that keep the communication going. Thirdly, I think we also need to have a strong sense of belonging. It is again part of having a strong relationship. Relationship is strong when you have a sense of belonging. There's a saying about family members. When you have a meal at home, right? Family members would do this. Some would cook, some would serve, some would set the table, some would do the washing up and all that. Those are family members. Guests don't do that. Guests sit there and wait for the meal. That's what I heard from some people, and which is very true, I think, and that applies to us as well. I think we have shared a few weeks ago. I think this we are very proud to say that FBC members, we have participated a lot, even on Sunday, throughout Zoom. And the participation is very high, and we have taken the opportunity to participate, and that's great. Everyone now we can participate because everyone has a mic. In front of you is a mic because of Zoom. Now not everyone can fly now because of the pandemic, but everyone can speak. So there's another thing I learned about maturity as well. Apparently, there are two types of maturity talked about in the body of Christ. One is the maturity of individuals, right? We want to become mature, no longer just drink milk but eat meat, things like that. There's also a maturity about the corporate that the Bible talks about. Let me bring to you Ephesians 4, what it says here. In verse 11, it says, so Christ himself gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, and teachers to equip his people for works of service, so that the body of Christ may be built up until we all reach unity in the faith and in the knowledge of the Son of God and become mature, attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ. You see, I highlighted the red words, means the body of Christ may be built up and become mature. Okay, that's the purpose of the fivefold ministry, for works of service, so that the body will become this. And continue on in verse 16, Paul said, from him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love, as each part does its work. And that's participation. Oh, sorry. Yeah. From him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love, as each part does its work. Right. So the body, the corporate body, FBC, the church, becomes mature and built up as we participate, as each part does its work. Okay. Being resilient also means to have a strong network with others. That helps us to be resilient as well. During this pandemic time, we were fortunate to have many speakers coming from different places. We have had speakers from Australia, Canada, United States, Europe, and different parts of the world. And that's all possible because we are doing things online. And we took the opportunities to network with them. And I think that's great. While we were meeting physically, we only have this sort of thing once or twice a year, right? The other aspect is that also because of this period, our own ministries have reached out outside the borders as well, like the family ministry, the ministry of emotional healing. We all started to extend even beyond the four walls and even beyond the national boundaries. I think that's great. Next thing, protection and confidentiality. Now I think I'll skip this for now. If I have time, I'll come back to this. Second point is being agile. That is being flexible. Flexible means, first of all, be able to adapt to changes. Now it's a challenge. It's a challenge for ourselves to embrace technologies, number one. And I think we have done that very well in NPC, that we're meeting in Zoom, for example. Yeah. And secondly, I think it's an opportunity for us to train ourselves to adapt to new ways of doing things. For example, the online church, it's an opportunity to train ourselves to be unconstrained, unconfined by the four walls. It's also an opportunity to train ourselves not to depend on a church building or a hall. Now we have not been meeting within the building for almost a year now, right? 10 months or so. It's also a time to train ourselves to remain united despite being physically separated. All this is adapting to changes. And so a time to train ourselves to stand firm in faith, which I said before, despite the separation and despite without the form. Secondly, being agile also means to be able to prepare ourselves for the worst. We got to face the challenge to move ahead. I think by now most of us have realized that things are not going to go back to the all normal that we knew of very soon. It's not going to happen that way. But I think in the beginning, when this happened, a lot of us were thinking, oh no, never mind, just 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months. I'm not going to go to Zoom. I'm not going to learn about how to use these things or that. It's so troublesome. Let's just wait for time to get better, I go back to the normal, then I'll meet up with the others again, whether with the LG or with the church. So I'll wait, you know. But I think slowly as time goes by, I think a lot of us start to realize that, hey, it may not go back, you know. So let's move forward. Let's be prepared to face the worst to come. It may not be better. I think it's good to have the attitude that prepare for worse and be surprised by something better to come. Yeah. Then to prepare for better and be surprised that it's getting worse. Okay. So the third point is to be practical. I think this time, this window of opportunity also give us a time to go back to the basics, to be practical. I think most of you, like myself, probably have realized our wardrobe is full of a lot of clothes that I don't need. Have you done that? I don't know whether you notice on Zoom, you probably see me wearing the same shirts throughout the time, the same few shirts. Actually, not only on Zoom, it's in reality, it's also the same thing. And my shirts start to have a lot of holes, Polly will tell you. Yeah, so you probably find a lot of makeups are not necessary. Yeah, so all this is giving us an opportunity to go back to the basic and realize that we are so blessed with so much and so many things. So it's a time for us to sort out and to give away as well. I think some of us have been very fortunate to continue to have income during this time, and I realize that a lot of people have lost their job, and even business go bankrupt. So if you have been fortunate to hold on even to have the same income throughout this time, I think it's a challenge also for us, therefore, to give even more, because there are even more needs now out there because of people losing their job and all that. So it's a challenge for us to give. Next one is to remain relevant. That is part of being agile as well, to adapt to change to the environment, and exactly because of the situation. Therefore, there are more needs, and there are some people who are staying on their own. The older folks staying on their own, and we know of a lot of people becoming depressed as well. So this is the time when we should become relevant. And then thank God that I think FBC has some ministries that have been really prove themselves relevant through this time, like the family ministry, ministering to couples, and hospice, of course, going to those who are dying despite the situation, and also the emotional healing for those who are depressed and all that. So that is great. Another point is to be ready to go. That is being flexible. When opportunities turn up, we can respond to it readily. After all, that is what the Bible says. Like one of the element in God's armor in Ephesians 6 that Paul talked about is to shoe yourself, or rather fit yourself on your with readiness. Show yourself with readiness to go out. I remember Pastor John Chin used to talk about Kairos, yeah, which is a time, if I understand it correctly, it's a time, and I look at the time that something should happen, and that time come and pass. And if you are involved in that time, and that's great. And if you are called and you fulfill your time during the Kairos, that's great. Then you fulfill your calling. But if you have a chance to choose not to, because God gives us a free will, right? However, during the Kairos, things will still get done. God's will still be done with or without you. So if we are not ready, if we don't take part in it, we just lose a chance. That's what it means. Yeah, but things will still get done. God will still get it done through somebody else. Yeah. Come to my last slide, which is on being farsighted. Being farsighted means a few things. Number one, our young people, the juniors, are our future. So During this window, I think it's an opportunity to train the young ones, to get them involved and to be involved now. Okay? Let's not wait. And remember the sense of belonging we talked about earlier on, the participation. So we should have our young people participate as well as much as possible, because that gives them the sense of belonging, that they are part of the family that is serving. We are not guests sitting there waiting for things to happen. How about life groups for young people? Yeah, there's something we can think about as well. Maybe it's an opportunity to do that. That brings me to the next point I want to talk about. That is to uncover talents among us. I think it's an opportunity also presented to us to discover talents. I think we did that pretty well through the Sunday participation. I think most of you can witness that there are good preachers and teachers among us. Yeah, through the Sunday exhortation, we see a number of them, and that is great. We managed to uncover and discover them. I think it's an opportunity also for us to look at LGs. It is possible that maybe it's possible that the LGs can even multiply during this time. Now you may ask, how is that possible? Let me give you some light here. Maybe for because we are meeting online, therefore the meeting needs not be big, and you don't need a venue definitely to host the meeting. And you definitely don't need to serve food. So a lot of this is made easy when you meet online, especially when you meet online. You want it to be short. You want it to be small, because it's more effective when it's smaller. There's this mindset, perhaps, and an analogy is this: the mindset of a school and students. A school, if you were to run a school, you want to have as many students as possible, because then you can sustain, right? And you can make profit. But the other side of the coin is the students and the parents. Now, of course, the parents will want your school to be famous before they send their students there. But on the other hand, parents and students would prefer smaller classes so that their children get the attention of the teachers. So there's two sides of the coin here. On one side, you would like to have as many people as possible. On the other side, from the students' perspective, they would want to have smaller classes where they can have their attention. So there are always two sides of everything, I guess. So there's something we can consider. You can probably consider how we can multiply ourselves based on that analogy. Yeah. Thirdly, I think being farsighted definitely means constantly planning ahead. We can take the chance to review the past, to also to plan for the future, and that is at every level, whether it's as individual or as small groups or even as the entire church. I think that's quite clear. I'll go to the next point, which is constantly examining ourselves. I think the slowdown period gives us an opportunity to review where we are, what we believe, what have we been doing that is wrong or right, etc. So it's a time to pause, to step back, to review, because we can be doing something so automatically because we are so good at it that we just do it. We can even do it with one eye closed, but doing so could also mean that we forgot why we did it at the first place. So it's a good time to step back and review what we do, to ensure that we are still focusing on the right thing and not just going through the motion. Yeah. So that's all I have to share, the 3 key points. The question is to ask ourselves, are we aggressive? Can we be resilient, agile, and far-sighted? So let us take the challenge and seize the opportunities offered to us by these adverse circumstances. And let us do so when the window is still here, the window of opportunity is still here. We need to be so in order to fight the good fight, to finish the race, and to keep our faith. Yeah, I think that's my last slide. Yep, it is. So thank you for listening. I'll pass the time back to the presider.
Thank you, Brother Leslie, for the very interesting sharing.